We are in a war for the eyeballs and pocketbooks of the customers, clients, and patients that we're trying to attract.
Everything has changed, and it's changing rapidly. There's no such thing as standing still. You're moving forward or you're moving backwards.
I'm a realist. If you don't have a system, what you have is chaos.
Welcome, everyone, to the Marketing Guides for Small Businesses podcast. I'm Jeff Steck with Tylerica Marketing Systems in Austin, Texas. And today I'm joined by my fellow guides, Ian Kentel from Outsource Marketing in Bradford, Ontario. No, that's Ken waving his hand. There's Ian. Ken Tucker, now it's your turn, from Changescape Web in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Paul Barthel, wave Paul, from Changescape Web in St. Charles, Missouri. For those of you that are only listening, Paul doesn't go on camera, so when we say wave, it's a little tongue-in-cheek.
But he is real.
But he is real. You'll hear him. Yep. He is not AI generated. So today's topic is looking ahead a little bit. As we look ahead to 2026, this has already been a year, but in 2026, AI search is going to blow up even more. Ad costs are probably going to go up even more. And for sure, customer expectations and the experiences they have are going to do just that. They're going to shift. So we want to continue, or these factors are going to continue to rewrite the rules of small business marketing. What we want to do is enable you to keep up with that. So we need to ask a critical question. Is your marketing system actually a system, or are you just doing random acts of marketing? Most small, medium-sized businesses aren't struggling because they're doing too little. Everyone's wearing so many hats, and we're struggling because efforts aren't connected, strategic, or repeatable. Oh, Ian, I was worried I was going to lose you already. Empty chair. So today we're going to break down what a real marketing system looks like in 2026, why so many businesses confuse tactics with strategy, and the simple steps you can take right now to build a predictable, sustainable, and effective system that supports real growth. Okay, now that we are all calmed down, are we ready to dive in? Let's start by digging into what a real marketing system looks like, and why so many small, medium businesses confuse tactics with strategy. So Paul, let's lead it off here. What's the difference between a system and a set of activities?
It's how you do the activities, actually. Because if you're just randomly doing activities like posting to Facebook, throwing a blog post out on your website, those are just disconnected, disjointed activities. A marketing system takes these activities and puts them into a system that is connected, it's intentional, it has strategy, and it's predictable. So instead of just throwing unrelated content on your website, and it may be related in some way to your business, you should be building content silos that are like is your main keyword and then supporting keywords, and then it's content around that, and then it's all interlinked. And so that's really what it is. I don't know how much more I can expand on that, but data does support this, and if you're not using a CRM, which helps you have a marketing system, I don't know how you run a business this day and age without a CRM. I just don't know. But if you take these activities that you're doing, and we talk about strategy on this podcast a lot, and you put strategy behind that, and I'm doing this for this reason and this for this reason, and then you have a system that can help you take full advantage of your marketing.
One of the things that comes to mind when we're talking about this, guys, is again, I know I've brought this up before, but just the analogy of war, right? Like we are in a war for the eyeballs and pocketbooks of the customers, clients, and patients that we're trying to attract. We don't exist in a bubble, and when you think about war, as far as the analogy fits marketing, like if you don't have a strategic plan, and if you're just doing ad hoc random acts of violence, I guess, right? Like trying to transpose that into the marketing world, you'll never beat somebody that is, because they'll just have a systematic approach to overcoming whatever you place in front of them. So I think when I think about this, I always think of like a general on the battlefield. If they have a solid plan and if they're adaptable to whatever is happening, they will know where to place their individual units, which tactics each unit should have, what equipment they should be using. And in the same way with our marketing, we can using marketing best practices, the data that's available to us today, the history of the business, we can start to lay out like this is what we should be doing and systematically approach it rather than just, hey, I woke up today and, I happened to look at Instagram. So now, somebody on Instagram said I should be doing videos. Maybe you should, but you need to filter that through your strategic marketing plan and your system for sure.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about CRMs and automation, and I don't think there's a CRM out there anymore that does not have some type of automation capabilities, but not automating and just automating redundant tasks or anything that can be automated is part of that system. It's like Jeff said at the beginning, everything has changed and it's changing rapidly, and that pace of change is going to increase. And if your competitors keep up with these changes and you don't, there's no such thing as standing still. You're moving forward or you're moving backwards.
Paul, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that the system, it's connected and it's intentional. And I do want to, back up a little bit and talk about definitions, because it's real easy to talk about a piece of software as being a system. A CRM is a, customer relationship management system, but it's not a marketing system. It's a key enabling technology and it's going to help you. But the true system in the sense that we talk about it for overall marketing is taking all those random acts, making them intentional, making them connected, supporting each other so that, the sum of the parts is sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, because they're all reinforcing each other. I think that's the real key. And you hit the nail on the head when you talked about it being connected and intentional. Yeah. Ken, you've been quiet. What's your take on this system versus set of activities question?
Oh, this is one of my all-time favorite questions. So strategy implemented through systems is the killer solution for marketing. I come from a software development world, not necessarily intentionally, I just did. And in that world, we had the capability maturity model, which has, it's a hierarchy of maturity of how you're developing software. And it's all about implementing software development as systems. Well, you got to do the same thing with marketing. You look at key performance indicators. We talk about omni-channel marketing all the time. All of us on this podcast have the breadth and depth of understanding of the span of marketing solutions that are out there that comprise an omni-channel marketing approach. And so, businesses, not everybody has the budget to go, 100% implementing an omni-channel marketing system. I wish that was the case, but, I'm a realist. I know people can't. But, by definition, if you don't have a system, what you have is chaos. And that's the first level. Then you need to get to repeatable processes so that you are doing the certain set of things all the time. When we're in the duct tape marketing, consultant network, we talked about, kind of that first level of building a marketing system is just doing the right set of activities over time. You mature that, but that's foundational. You've got to start doing a certain set of activities that are intentional, that are connected, predictable, and measurable, like you guys have talked about, and then you optimize those and you improve those over time, and you can add extra marketing solutions to the mix as you grow and build out your omni-channel strategy. So I can't stress this enough. It really is absolutely, truly the difference maker. I talk to so many businesses who, they're all frustrated with, what they've done in the past in marketing. And it's basically just a tactic here, a tactic there. Cumulatively, they probably wind up spending a lot of money, and they almost always are frustrated with the results. They don't have visibility into what's happening. And in the economy and the mindset we're in right now, there's a lot of fear about the economy. There's a lot of fear about what AI might be doing for, certain people in certain markets and things like that. I think it's absolutely essential that you systematize things and you start working on those things that you can connect, be very intentional. That's where the execution of a marketing strategy is that intention. When you do those two things together, where you connect stuff and you do it intentionally, you can start to get predictable results. And then you're measuring the results, and you've got to have a really solid feedback loop to feedback in to continue to optimize the performance of that system.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to add one thing to that too. It's assumed in the minds of many business owners that every marketing agency or marketing consultant can do what you just said, Ken. And I hate to burst that bubble, because I feel it is probably one of the greatest failings of the marketing industry, is that the landscape is littered with one-trick ponies, or maybe a few tricks they can do, but they make you fit their mold rather than creating a marketing plan that fits your business, right? So I think that's a really important thing for businesses to understand, that you need to look for someone that can help you do this and do it very strategically. Otherwise, you'll just be doing random acts of marketing, but with experts doing the marketing for you, if you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of a funny nuance, but I think people should really understand that as they go down this path.
Paying even more for it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ken took it back to random acts of marketing. You took it back to random acts of marketing a second ago. Of course, that's in the title of the episode, so it's to be expected. But Ian, let's go kind of opposite direction. Let's move away from systems, because we just talked about systems versus sets of activities. So for a business owner who's kind of questioning that now, what do I really have? What are some signs that a business is running on random acts of marketing?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be telltale signs for sure. I'll share some more concrete ones as well. But first of all, some of it is just confusion, right? Like, I actually don't know what is happening with my marketing. I don't know what the results are. We're doing stuff. I have people doing stuff. I don't know what that stuff is.
I'm so confused.
But stuff is being done, but it's not working. So to me, that's like the biggest sign that you're doing random acts of marketing, that there's activity, but you don't actually know what's really working, and probably not measuring it well. But where that all, if you back up the truck a little bit, I'm waiting for Ken to do some sort of, I guess that's he likes to act things out for us. I like it. It's like charades. So Ken has backed up the truck. Where it all stems from is, no documented strategy. So you haven't actually created a strategy in order to drive your marketing forward. So you might not know who your ideal customer is. You might have an idea. Like, you guys have probably experienced this when you're talking to business owners. Dentists think anybody with teeth is their ideal customer. Yes, those are potential customers, but they're not their ideal customers or patients, right? So you
Without
need to
teeth are customers too.
Absolutely. Huge customers. But you need to drill it down. You need to understand what your core message is that positions you differently than your target or your competitors. You need to understand how you're going to take that into a messaging platform. You need to know where you're going to do your marketing. Some other signs of it are, you're making constant marketing decisions on the fly. Somebody throws up the latest shiny marketing object and you're chasing it, right? Rather than stopping and going, okay, does this fit with the plan that I've set out? And right there, if you don't have the plan, that becomes obvious. But you haven't defined your target audience, your message, your goals, right? What are my goals for my marketing as it fits in with my overall business plan? What are my business goals, and how is my marketing plan going to get me there? Everything feels reactive, not proactive. This is a huge sign, right? Like, if you feel like you're constantly trying to play catch up with your marketing, that means that you don't have a plan. No clear measurement for success. If you can't say this thing we're doing for marketing is either a success or a failure or somewhere in between, then you're not measuring it properly. And if you're not measuring it properly, you probably don't know why you're doing it. No dedicated person, right? If you don't have a dedicated person, whether they're external or internal in your business, dedicated to doing the marketing and responsible for the results, and it all comes down to kind of owner bottlenecking, where, whether it's decision making or the owner has analysis paralysis, that's a sign. Week by week decisions. What's the most urgent thing we need to do? We need leads now. We got to build a funnel, or we got to do Facebook ads, or, right? Like urgency
whiplash.
What's that?
Marketing whiplash.
Yeah. And then, a big one I see is, a sign that you might be doing random acts of marketing is if you have taken a multi-vendor approach. Multi-vendor approaches is synonymous with not having a strategic marketing plan. I've very rarely seen a business that has a really solid marketing plan have a multi-vendor approach, because it's full of holes. There's a lack of accountability between vendors. Vendors aren't clear on what their objectives are. You can make it work. It's just much harder. One of the other things I hear that to me is a sign that they probably don't have a plan is we've survived and grown to this size by word of mouth referrals only for the last 20 years. So right there, they're not investing in marketing, so they don't have a marketing plan. And it's just wishful thinking that people are going to continue to refer their business, and there's no strategy behind it. If people in your business don't know how to use the CRM system, or they're not using the CRM system, they're not logging interactions with customers, they're not putting in new contacts into the list. I mean, these are things that you can track really easily, right? The activity of your own people. If that's not being done, it probably means they're not using the CRM system, which probably means it doesn't roll up into what your plan should be. If website traffic exists, but conversions remain low, that could be a sign. Or if you have no website traffic, right? There's all sorts of signs. And then no attribution clarity. This is really common. I certainly come across this all the time. Businesses find it really, really hard to attribute where leads are coming from. And so, if you can't track where leads are coming from, you don't actually know what's working and what's not working. And so that's just a sign that you're probably doing random acts of marketing. There's a study out there. I actually don't know where the original source is, because it's been re-quoted so many times. I did see it came from Gartner, but I also saw it came from another source. But it's 62% of small businesses can't identify their top performing marketing channel. And that's a problem, right? If you can't say, this is where most of my leads are coming from, you have a very felt need of fixing that problem and then putting in a systematic approach to marketing.
Mm-hmm. And, Ian, what you said about the CRM, that is like probably the biggest, most common thing we see all the time. It's like, even if you, like you said, do you have a CRM? Yes. Are you using it? No. And I think usually that happens because it's basically, no matter how they decided to use the CRM that they are not using, it got dumped up on some person in the office. It's like, well, I have this person in the office and he or she can learn how to use this. And they're already busy trying to do everything else. And now they get something else dumped off on them, and it just never happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the other signs too that you probably don't have a systematic approach to marketing, because this one pops up all the time, is inconsistently asking for reviews. Because I see this all the time. And the thing that you just touched on there, Paul, was human behavior, right? The hardest thing with any system or with anything you're doing in a business is to adjust human behavior to drive your goals forward. And so I see that all the time with just the simple approach of, hey, how was your visit today? If they respond in a positive manner, say, would you mind leaving a Google review for us by clicking on this QR code or tapping? And this will help us attract more great patients, customers, clients, just like you, right? It's so simple. It takes like 6 seconds to say, but changing the behavior of your own people is really tough. But if you don't have a plan, you probably will never change behavior of your team, or you'll be changing it so often because you don't have a plan that they'll just give up on you, and they'll just nod and smile and do their own thing.
This job would be great if it weren't for the customers.
Yeah. I think another really easy question that our listeners can ask themselves: do you have a list in a form that you can do anything with from a marketing perspective? And I mean, everybody's going to say, oh yeah, I've got a customer list. We use, builder trends, for this, that, or the other, if they're in construction or remodeling. Okay, well, that's not really a list. That's describing customer projects. It's not a marketing list. Do you have people in your accounting system? Do you have people in your contacts in your email? Are they all pulled together in a usable way? Do you have phone numbers for everybody? Do you have emails for everybody? Just ask yourself these questions. And if you find out that you can't definitively say, yeah, you know what, I do have all that stuff pulled together, you need a marketing system, because the first thing that many businesses really need to do is a customer reactivation program, or basically getting people to that have already built a relationship with you, that already know, like, and trust you, to come back and buy again. That's the easiest system to implement. And guess what? I am blown away at 90% of the new customers we talk to do not have a list in a form that we could hit the ground running with to deliver those kind of results. And they don't even really know where their data sources would be to even compile a list like that.
And even if they do have a list, it's never segmented. So you can't do anything targeted.
I think it's really important for our listeners to understand the difference between a strategic marketing plan and a system, because there is one guides the other, right? If you don't have a strategic marketing plan, you can't actually have a marketing system. A marketing system is what gets all of the gears of your marketing working systematically together to produce consistent results, right? And so I just want our listeners to understand, like, you need a plan, and then you need to build the system that supports and help. It's the vehicle that gets you to achieve the goals of your plan. So if you don't have a plan, or if you haven't looked at your marketing plan within 6 months, that's the biggest sign to me that you're doing random acts, for sure.
Ken, I want to build on kind of the tack you were just taking. We've talked about sets of activities versus a system. We've talked about, signs that a business is running on random acts of marketing. You just got into it a little bit. Can you go a little deeper on, why does this happen? Why are so many business owners confused, and why does this happen? That they're kind of in this trap, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is, I think, just honestly, it's technical intimidation for a lot of people. There are, and terminology, we all throw around a lot of terms, ROI, ROAS, and stuff like that, all these acronyms, bounce rates, this, and, and people don't know what those are. I was talking to one of our clients the other day, and I know his comfort level and knowledge level of technology is practically non-existent. And he admits that, and he fully knows it. And so, I work hard to try to keep things, to make them tangible for him to understand. So the challenge there of just understanding the nuances, complexities, definitions, scope, all of that, and if you're already concerned about using technology, that just compounds it. So I think that's one thing. Overwhelm. I mean, my gosh, the pace of marketing solutions that are available today across all channels, Google Ads, Facebook, now TikTok is a player, Instagram. Oh, by the way, Instagram changes new features. Facebook did this. AEO, what is this concept of AEO, answer engine optimization? Now that's coming into the mix. There's so many things that are happening that, and so many different tools to choose from that people get overwhelmed. They don't know the tactics they should use. They don't know the tools they should use. There's fear of technology. Now there's fear of AI and intimidation, even if there's not fear. And so that causes inactivity or indecision, I should say. So, and I get it. We actually have, put together a solution specifically designed to kind of help people get past some of those things. Because it's just such a clear need for small businesses in the market. John Janch, I know just the other day, put out in his email newsletter, just pick a solution. And in this case, he was talking about a large language model, AI, if you will. Just pick one and go and use it. And and integrate it into what you're doing in your marketing and in your business operations. If you wait until next week, tomorrow, next month, next year, 2026, your competitors are going to be running way ahead of you. The pace of change is faster than anything I've ever seen. It changes dramatically, weekly, if not daily, in what's possible in the tool sets that are available. So, you need to find somebody you're comfortable with that has a robust solution to implement a marketing strategy a marketing system defined by marketing strategy. Challenge the companies that you're talking to about helping you with marketing, whether it's building a website. Look, if you have a cousin that can help you build a website because they're an IT person, okay, that's convenient. But is that really the right website for you and what you need to grow your business to be that 24/7, 365 storefront online in the face of your business? Is that going to be something that's going to help you be found? What are your business goals and objectives? So challenge people, and it's incumbent upon the business owners to be able to do that a little bit. And I get, look, if you don't know how to do this, seek out marketing advice to help you vet this stuff. And as Ian was talking about, the one trick or two trick ponies, there are so many tool vendors that will sell you what's really good for them, but it's not good for you. I've got a company that I run into all the time. They sell social media advertising. That is their one big play. They may throw in another service here or there around that, but it's really everything that they do is that. And they sell it to people who have no business spending the majority of their marketing budget on social media advertising because it just isn't the right fit. It's not the right tactic. And it's because there was no marketing strategy to basically guide that decision. Business owners don't have time to build systems. They're busy, trying to build all of the other systems that run their business, their accounting system, their business operations, the customer delivery, and they probably have more knowledge about those things than they do about the marketing side of things. So I don't know about, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know for myself, if I'm not super comfortable in something, I'm going to focus on the stuff that I know really well and get that done first, because the other stuff is just, it's scary, it's unknown, it's a bigger challenge, it takes a bigger time investment initially. So so again, I think that's another reason why there's a lot of confusion, because, now we're faced with a, marketplace where a lot of businesses to this day are still having a hard time getting workers to actually implement the solutions for their customers. And so the business owners are having to deal with all of that. The last thing that they probably have a time to really focus on is building a real true marketing system driven by marketing strategy. And then, it's so easy to get fooled by thinking that you're doing good things. You can produce an awful lot of content, but if it's not intentional and aligned with what you're trying to accomplish, it's not going to drive results. Again, I know people who say, are like, oh, I'll just use AI to create a bunch of blog posts. That'll get me visibility out there, on my website. And it's like, maybe, but probably not, because it's not done intentionally. It's not done driven around keyword research. It's not speaking to your ideal customers, and so it's a shame because people are doing things. They're just not doing things, in a focused manner. Those are some of the things. The last thing I'll say is, is with AI coming on super strong, we're seeing dramatic shifts in visibility alone. Google clicks from search results has dropped like a rock. Now, has that trickled down to local businesses that are found typically by near me searches? No, not substantially, but it's probably coming, and it's probably coming pretty quick. Are there people who are starting to use AI as a search platform like ChatGPT? Just ask yourself, what the last time you went to ChatGPT, what was the prompt that you typed in? Didn't that kind of replace what maybe you would have done for an informational Google search?
I would argue, I know I'm always the outlier on this, but I always find that I want to bring this up just because we have a big responsibility, right, as marketing guides. And one of the things I find is that marketers are parroting each other like crazy today and not looking at the true data behind the scenes, because there's a lot of vanity metric data that's just being floated by everybody. And it drives me nuts because it's guiding decision making in a bad way. And one of the things I would say is that search intent is probably the most important question they should be asking themselves about where people are searching for them. Because, the most recent studies I've seen, again, say local search for businesses and solutions is 94% on Google still. So
right.
Where would you put your eggs? Would you put all of them into AI now? Because the reason I get so passionate about this, Ken, is I actually have clients that are like, let's stop everything we're doing in SEO and put it all into AI. And I'm like, that would be the worst decision of your life. You would ruin your business because you'd be relinquishing all of the leads for where the people are actually searching today for prospective future stuff that we don't even know. Like, we're all on this journey together. So the data we see today should be guiding our decisions. The trending is important for sure. And I am not anti-AI at all. So I just want people to be very clear, like, let's stop parroting the people that are looking at global brands searches, because those are the noisy ones, right? They're like, oh, people have general searches about, what are the 3 signs of chickenpox? Well, that's got nothing to do with local searches, right? So,
right.
And those are general kind of informational searches that, of course, are going to AI because you can get concise answers. But yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off, Ken.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, there are a lot of statistics out there that on the surface it sounds like, oh my God, but the reality is there are trends that are disturbing. There are trends that you need to be watching. They're impacting certain sectors and certain types of searches much more than others. But because of those types of changes, that means that other tools are seeing opportunities and they're coming up with new capabilities, to try to get some of that huge share that Google has. And there has been a slight erosion, and I think it's only going to accelerate over time. But you're right. It doesn't mean that Google, you walk away from that. But Google, you're future-proof.
Right. And Google isn't AI adverse either. Google's in this game, right?
Sure.
So they have the most to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yeah. The last thing I want to say is, it's maybe a little bit shiny object syndrome. A great example is, I'll give you two. One is you're cruising around through social media and you see a really cool short video. And it's like, man, I'd love to have a video like that for my business. It's probably on TikTok and you're like, oh my God, it got 1 million views, blah, blah, blah. I need to do this. Ian's talked about this in the past. That means, a lot of times that pulls people and they go chase that thing because it's like, oh my God, I want 1 million views. And it's like, okay, well, 1 million views of 100% of the wrong audience is going to get you nothing. So keep that in mind. And then the other thing is, you go to a conference and you're talking at a round table with people about what's working for their business. And somebody will say, oh yeah, I'm killing it on social. It's always social media. I'm killing it on social media, blah, 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 blah. Well, you need to look and see what's really going on there. Just because it's working for them does not mean it's the right solution for you. They could be in a town that's 30,000 people, and for all intents and purposes, Facebook operates as the primary media channel for a community that's maybe that size. That's very common. But if you're in a market that is 100, 400,000, 500,000, 10 million, is that the right thing to do? No. So don't be fooled by these anecdotal one-off comments, and you'll see them online all the time too. They're always marketing people. I'm killing it by doing this on such and such. Well, you know what? Great. Good for you. I don't necessarily believe you. Most of these are complete bullshit. They're these big audacious tactics and statistics that they throw out. And guess what? People don't believe those anymore. So you shouldn't either.
And Ken, the question you were answering was about why business owners have confusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you just said there is one of the biggest reasons they have confusion is that there are so many darn voices out there telling you different things. And I think we talked about this a long time ago on this podcast. I don't even remember when, but I do remember we had a podcast about this, and it was talking about be careful about who you let into your brain, right? Because you need to protect yourself and make sure that the people that you're letting in and guiding you in some of this stuff, especially this strategic stuff that can impact your bottom line so profoundly, be careful about who you listen to. And if you are letting someone in, test it, right? Look at what their actual results are. So if somebody at a trade show shares that with you, if they're not willing to share the data with you, just walk away, right? If you can't, what's the saying that's been pulled out a whole bunch of times for Reagan lately? Trust but verify. Is that one of his quotes? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I want to jump back in, move on to the next segment. A lot of good stuff here. But we may have another podcast where we don't get through it all. So let's see how it goes. We've talked about what a system isn't. Let's get into what a real marketing system must include in 2026 to stay competitive. So, Ian, back to you. And Paul, I know you've been quiet, but I've saved a technology question for you. I think it's the third one, so don't fall asleep on us. We're going to get back to you. And jump in anytime. Ian, what foundational elements must be in place before any tactics can work?
Yeah. So to me, strategic marketing plan and that strategic marketing plan at its center of it is, what are the goals for my business? Clearly define those, clearly define what your ideal customer profiles are. Don't go too big. Usually 3 to 4 of these tops is enough. One is better than none, but really define who your ideal customers are and flesh that out. Like, where do they spend time online? What are they looking for? What are their pain points? Right? It's not just, it's people, people with teeth between this age. It's, go deep, and then develop a positioning statement. How and look at your competitors. So how do I position my business differently than my competitors? What's my core message that's going to set me apart? Because otherwise, if you don't give people a very clear differentiation in the marketplace, you see this all the time in dentistry. I think you see it in every industry, but you pull up 3 websites for local dentists and you're like, yeah, they're different pictures, same information, right? Like, how do I make my choice? And so then you're leaving it up to, whatever they had, whatever color is used on the website is making your choice or price, and price is the worst thing, right? If you're very offer focused. So think about that. Message clarity, top, you should have a message that you clearly identify that's going to resonate with your ideal customers. Create story-based differentiation, have your website really well laid out in a smart strategic methodology that's going to attract people through SEO, engage them once they get to the website. And of course, you can have ads and stuff coming too, and then convert them. And probably that last one, conversion focused, needs to be very strategic, because that gets lost a lot of times in web development. Have trust assets, reviews, testimonials, case studies. I won't go deep into this because Paul's talked about it, and he'll probably talk some more about this, but CRM, that should be your center of truth for your business. Everybody should be able to look at one contact record, update that contact record, and everybody can see that. I've used the story numerous times, but I've had one tech company who we've been with for 15 years. Every year we call up to make some changes to our account. Every year they reconfirm where I live, and every year they have it like 3 addresses ago. So I don't know what CRM system they're using, but they're a technology company. Have a very, you need to have this really well laid out. The last thing I would say that you really need to have before you start getting into tactical elements is have a strategic marketing plan calendar for the year. It sounds totally dorky. Even when I worked in large multinational businesses, and I would raise the issue of, we need a marketing calendar. Some people thought it was so, I don't know, like simple, right? Like, that's too simple. We need something more profound. And then you lay out the marketing calendar and everybody's like, oh, that's what we need to do every single month. This is what we're going to be held accountable to. This is what we're going to achieve. These are the goals. These are, so have a marketing calendar. And you'll be well on your way.
So you're saying Post-it notes and a Rolodex can't replace a CRM?
Hey, you know what I would say is, I would say this: depending on the complexity of your business, use whatever system works. And if a Rolodex, and you scribble on somebody's note and you have no turnover of people and everybody can share that one Rolodex, or you're the only person that needs it, heck, Rolodex has worked for a lot of people.
I've had it.
It can work. It depends on what you want. But, I would say use the system. A CRM system is not for every business, although I would suggest every business can use it and use it to great effect. But there are businesses where I've seen like old school lists, binders, Rolodexes. I would say, if you are not using technology for any other purpose and you don't need to integrate your information across different areas, I've seen it work. Just use a system. But if you try to hire somebody younger, they might not understand how Rolodex works, and then you'll be in trouble.
They're complicated.
Hey, and Ken, if anybody's listening and don't know what a Rolodex is, don't worry about it. It's long gone.
Ken, let's jump back to you. I know you have a lot of grounding in the story brand approach. As duct tape marketers, we're all very in tune with customer journey. So my question for you, Ken, is how does the customer journey become the backbone of a marketing system?
Yeah, so we talk about omni-channel marketing. That's just basically delivering. It's the practice of delivering a seamless and consistent customer experience across all channels, offline and online, tied back to your marketing strategy, right? And your ideal client profile or customer profile. So, and we're huge believers in that. They make up the elements that you pull from to build your marketing system specific for your business. This is not a one kind of approach fits all. I mean, what a restaurant needs to have in place versus an auto dealer are radically different, right? So we've all found that the duct tape marketing hourglass framework is very helpful because we don't control how people go through the buying decision-making process anymore. There was a time when, when it was simple, when there were phone books and there were radio and television ads, maybe billboards, maybe catalogs. That was about it, right? And so you were able to kind of really drive people more effectively by just getting your content in front of them. Now there are so many choices and there's so many distractions and so many pulls that we've lost control as marketers. All we can do is take our best educated shot at guiding the process. And that's why I like the duct tape marketing hourglass framework. So it's really where it's basically 7 stages. It's know, like, trust, classic marketing 101 stuff. But then it's get somebody to make a micro purchase or a micro commitment. They don't have to spend any money, but they need to make a commitment to work with you, to experience that, what you have to offer. Buy, repeat, and refer. And so when you think about marketing in those stages, and what I love about that is it kind of flips the sales funnel concept that we always hear about upside down. People forget about the bottom half of the sales funnel. Once somebody goes through the sales funnel and they make that purchase, most people forget all of the important marketing things that need to happen once somebody becomes your customer, and the value that they can bring back to your overall marketing and business growth. So I love the fact that duct tape has not only the sales funnel piece at the top classically, but then also you flip it over and now you work with the buy, repeat, and refer, because that's really where the difference maker is. Otherwise, it's constant churn of customers. And that's a really hard way for businesses to survive. People don't make decisions in a linear fashion, and they bounce back and forth between these stages all the time for a whole variety of reasons. Doing continuous research, they may be watching a TV show and first learn about, a car, for example, from a TV commercial. Then they might, go do a Google search, look up the specs of the car. Before you know it, they're getting ads, and so the automobile industry, because it's a big ticket item, it has a very long, substantial buyer's journey. But people are using multiple channels. They may go to Reddit to ask questions in the local community. What are people's experiences buying this car or from this dealer? They may be asking questions there. They may go check out your social media profiles. They're certainly checking out your website. They may even come in for a test drive. And if that's not a good experience, they may leave and go to another dealer. So you've got to really think about all of the potential touch points to get somebody to make that purchase, and then actually all of the touch points that you need to do after they've made that purchase to retain them as a customer, to get them to be a champion and an advocate for your business, because word of mouth marketing from reviews and referrals is a very powerful, if maybe not the most powerful form of marketing. User generated content is kind of the gold standard. If we can get, businesses to the point where they're getting their customers to become raving fans. And so you've got to realize that's not really a flow. And so that's why omni-channel is important. We have to have content wherever it's likely that our ideal customer profiles are, those people who are very likely to be our customers, where are they going and spending time online? What resources are they using? Do they read certain magazines? Do they use Reddit? Do they go to Pinterest to look for information? All kinds of crazy things that a lot of people probably just gloss over and don't even think about. It's common, you might be, let me give you a couple of examples. So, where you're bouncing back to research when you're almost ready to pull the trigger and make a purchase decision. So let's say that we've talked about CRMs, so let's pick on CRMs. So buy is stage 5, in the duct tape marketing hourglass framework. They're looking at a CRM, they're almost ready to buy, and then all of a sudden they're on LinkedIn and they see an ad from a competitor CRM solution. And it prompts them to say, maybe before I buy this, I need to go check this tool out. So then they go check out the reviews and they may read the website and some other content. And then, so that puts a little bit of doubt in their mind and maybe it backs them up a little bit from the buying readiness, if you will. And then they wind up going to a networking event and they talk to, a couple of friends of theirs and they say, hey, what do you guys think? What are you using for a CRM? And people are like, oh yeah, I use that one. And I had all kinds of problems implementing it, or I use this instead. And so people, there are so many sources of information online and offline. And so all we can do is continually try to provide the right information to guide that process. So I think in the world we live at today, it's maybe more difficult than it has been to do that, but it's also never been more important to do it. With AI, in the research phase, for example, people are using AI, more and more there than they are, as Ian said, for local searches. But they may start the process there, and they may do something like, what are the 5 most important features that I need to have for a small business CRM as a plumber? And that may be a prompt that they type into ChatGPT, and it'll give them an answer, and it may even suggest a couple of tools that they should go check out. But from the features or the important aspects of that, they may start to do Google searches to look specifically for tools. So you've got to figure out how you're going to get the right information about your business to show up in something like that. And it could be, people. You also have to think about who your ideal customer is and what channels are they using. If they're younger, they may be more apt to use social media or Chat GPT or Perplexity as a search engine, as opposed to somebody who's 45 to 65. They're probably going to go to a more traditional, tried and true type of classic search engine like Google, for example. So you just really have to think about all these things. And I love the fact that, duct tape marketing has always advocated omni-channel approach to marketing and building a marketing system to align with the stages of the buyer's journey. And then looking at what channels do you need to be using to be effective in guiding that process as best as you can, realizing that we'll never be able to control it, but we can give it our best shot to kind of guide people through that process. It'll never be perfect. There aren't enough dollars or resources or time to ever make it perfect, but you can make a hell of a lot of progress if you implement a marketing system informed with a marketing strategy, as with the elements that Ian talked about.
And Ken, one of the things I've come to learn about that marketing hourglass that's so helpful is it's about you may not know which journey they will take on their own, right? But you do know from the work you do on the marketing hourglass of here are the main journeys, here are the main touch points they're going to be doing, and what that tool, that marketing hourglass, allows you to do is basically interject yourself where they're going to be along that journey in multiple places, right? So it's pre-thinking, like, well, for them to make this choice, they're going to be looking on social media, they're going to be, on YouTube looking for answers there, right? So it allows you to pre-think that. And I've just found that that's a very helpful way to, it's going to put me in front of them when they're making their decision at all those various places.
Right. And then
one of the things I really like is you get a matrix almost of all these different levels of the hourglass, the different stages. And then what do people need at each stage? And now you can bring that across into different assets. And that is defining what you need to develop to implement that system.
Love it.
Yeah, and just be careful what you interject and where. Shane.
Yeah.
Paul, I don't know what that means, Paul, but it sounds funny.
Yeah.
Ken, I want to jump to Paul's question, but before I do, you had something you want to get in?
Yeah, just real quick, to kind of pull StoryBrand into the mix, all of this is not going to do you a damn bit of good if you don't work on the clarity of your marketing messaging and making sure that you understand offer language and what gets people to take action. So just keep those things in mind. It's not enough to have content distributed across all of these different places. It also has to be the right content, and you can stimulate people to take action by the language that you use in your calls to action, and also the offer language that you use as people are getting to that try and buy stage.
All right, so let's jump to Paul then. So I told you I had a technology question for you. You're our technology guy. So how does technology fit into the system? And of course, we've got to mention it. What's AI's true role going to be in 2026?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because I think there's a lot of uneasiness and even fear around AI. And it's been said, this isn't my quote, it's been said a million times, that I'm not saying AI isn't going to replace anyone, but it's more likely that if you don't keep up with it, you're going to be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about how AI is changing things, 2 years ago, Bing Places wasn't even a thing, and everybody ignored it. And with ChatGPT, that has changed, because what does ChatGPT return? Bing search results. That's what it's returning, which is why I don't use ChatGPT for search, because Google search results are far superior. But that is what's happening, as much as Google irritates me. And it's not, AI isn't going away. And in a lot of small businesses, they don't think it's going to affect them. And Ken said at the very beginning, is it affecting local searches? Well, not yet. But I think that's going to change. And it's not going away. It's like, remember when this internet and email thing was all a fad? It wasn't going to last very long. See how that worked out? And the things that technology is not a system, okay? It can accelerate a system. It can make it work better, but technology is not a system. And AI can help you scale almost anything without having to increase staff. It can, and go back to the CRMs, sending, and what Ken talked about, the bottom of what I consider after the sale. A lot of small business, that's it. That's the end of their engagement with the customer. And AI and CRMs can help you with that, which leads into some of the tools you're going to need. Well, should already have. CRM with automations, automated pipelines, AI assisted email and SMS, reporting dashboards. AI can parse data better than you'll ever be able to. And then chat automation that can be escalated to a human. That's good. I think a lot of people, especially younger people, they're very comfortable using this. But at some point, you just might want to talk to a person. And I think that's everybody. And then call tracking, absolutely essential. AI isn't perfect yet. There's a lot of things. Matter of fact, I was using AI to generate some, or ChatGPT actually, to generate some descriptions for Google Business Profile services. And it was generating, they were great, robust, very, very detailed. Problem is there's a 300 character limit. You would think ChatGPT, because I was very specific, write me a service description for a Google business profile. And I didn't put 300 characters in because I wanted to see what happened, because I knew there was a 300 character limit. And it generated like a 900 character description. So it's like, okay, limit that to 300 characters, because that's the limit on the description for Google Business Profile Service. There's a McKinsey 2025 report that says that AI adopters are just over 2 times more likely to grow revenue faster than their peers. And it goes back to customer engagement. It can help with that customer engagement, especially after the sale, which I think is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of businesses make, that once the sale is done, that's it, they're done.
All right, so we've talked about what a true marketing system looks like now. So the next big question is, how do small and medium businesses actually build one without getting overwhelmed or wasting money? And we are coming up on our time, so let's make this a lightning speed round. Ian, you're up. Go. What sequence should SMBs follow to build a system without wasting time or money?
Yeah, so I think, building a strategy, first of all, quickest way, hire somebody like what you hear about on this podcast, right? Hire somebody that has experience. That is by far the fastest way to get you to your goals. But then, make sure you develop your marketing strategic marketing plan, build out sequences, build out the tactics, use proven strategic marketing tactics that work. Put them into place, put measurements in place. I'm sure there's other things in there, but because it's a lightning round, I'll pass it off to Ken. Go, Ken.
Ken, your question is, what rhythms keep the system healthy and, going forward?
Yeah. So I think you should monitor things monthly. I mean, in the nature of your business and what you do, it may need to be more frequently, but at a bare minimum, monitor key performance on a monthly basis. Have a marketing planning review session every quarter. Marketing does take time, so if you do it every week or every month, that's too frequent, I think. We look at doing marketing sprints, and then we get data, and then we optimize, and we see how the performance is over time. So quarterly, I think, is the right cadence. Don't go crazy trying to fix everything all at once. Kind of focus on core system 1, get that going. Core system 2, constantly review whether or not you have the right set of tools. Again, don't go crazy with this, but you can very quickly find that you have an outdated set of tools. A great case is your website maybe was built 10 years ago and it doesn't have the features that it needs to have in place to be successful today. And just commit to being continuous and diligent in your improvements.
And Paul, your question is, what early wins prove the system is working?
Yeah, higher quality, better qualified leads, better conversion rates from website visitors. And again, this goes back to the system. That's what the question was. If it's random, it's not going to work. Improve review velocity and quality. Something Ian talked about. People are fickle, okay? If you piss them off, they will definitely leave a review. But if they're satisfied, you're probably going to have to ask for that review. They're not going to be so inclined to leave a review. And increased repeat business and referrals. And this goes back to maintaining that relationship after the sales. And CRM pipelines can show how people are moving, how long they're staying in one stage. And CRM can automate that for you too. When someone takes an action, it can automatically move through that pipeline. I mean, it's just so much things that technology and AI and CRM systems can do. And I was not aware of this, but Salesforce apparently did a 2025 SMB trend report and said businesses using a CRM saw 52%, using it correctly, systematically, their term, saw 52% faster sales cycles. So what would that do for you?
Yeah, I think that's going to vary industry to industry, but just
I think it will.
What's the saying? That which gets measured gets improved, right? If you're in a system and you're paying attention to what you're doing and you're really zeroed in on keeping things moving along, because that's what CRMs are going to help you do, then things are going to move along, right?
Yeah, because if you have customers or potential customers that are staying in one stage of that pipeline for X amount of time, you can send them a follow-up email saying, hey, we noticed you were interested in this or whatever it is, and you haven't is there any questions or concerns you have that we can answer for you?
Anything before we move to the close, anything anyone wants to throw out, jump in with?
This is a great topic, Jeff. I think it's so fundamental to marketing success that I'm really glad that you brought this to light. And just get started with the strategy, folks. That's where everything starts and where you will see much deeper success.
And AI is going to fix everything.
Well, I think it was while Ken was talking, the analogy I came up with is if you're going to a conference and you live in New York and you're going to a conference in LA and 6 months to present, and you need to get to LA, you can go out, learn how to fly an airplane. You can study weather, you can study avionics, you can study flight plans and aircraft performance, or you can just go hire a pilot and buy a ticket on an airline. That's a lot of what it comes down to in a lot of cases. And ask for help, reach out to the guys, let us know how we can help you, do some self-study. I always recommend the Duct Tape Marketing book. That's the one that started it all for me in my marketing journey. So, if you're listening and if today's conversation made you realize that your marketing might be a set of activities rather than a true system, well, you're not alone. And now is the perfect time to fix it before heading into 2026. So like I just said, if you want help assessing where your business stands, building a system that actually works, coaching, guidance along the way, just reach out to one of us. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time with more practical insights to help your business grow. So Ian, as is our custom, would you like to take us out?
Sure. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button, smash it, and smash it again. But unless it clicks it off, then hit it one more time so that you are truly subscribed. Leave us a rating and a review. Share the podcast with people that you know that could find value in it and save them from the tyranny of the urgent and not having a marketing plan. So it really helps us grow, keeps us in line with what you guys want to hear. So let us know any questions you have. And until next week, folks, keep calm and market on.